Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, my people, my people, my people. My name is Alan Palmer, St. Vincent de Grenadines, my favorite and most hated son. Today, I am coming in and out like a premature ejaculation. People, today, if you are not a Bajan, I don't want you to look at this video. This video is designated for people, the citizens of Barbados. We're going to talk some issues for the people of Barbados this morning. So if you have a friend who is a Barbadian, if you have a family member who is living in Barbados, please share this video on their page or share it in a group and tag them in this video, because this video is not for Vaccination. This video is for Barbados, because I want to address something here that the Barbadians is supposed to take a keen interest in, because their Prime Minister, Mayor Mottley, have been reckless with the health care of the Barbadian, and she has been squandering the resources of the Barbadian treasury. And let us get into this. So if you have intention, don't bother to watch this video, because this don't have nothing to do with you. I am going to be speaking to the Barbadian this morning. That is why I tag the few Bajans who I am friends with in this video, so they can have access to it and they can share it to their friends. So now, people, remember, as I said this morning, if you are Vaccination, don't hang out here. Find something to do, look for another life for St. Vincent de Grenadines and go on that life. Share your opinion, get the information from that life. But in this live is done specifically for my Barbadian brothers and sisters. And right now I'm looking through my Facebook thing to see if I see any of those Barbadian who I can invite that I didn't tag on this. So people, let me speak to my Barbadian brothering and sistering this morning. My Barbadian brothering and sistering this morning. Right? Now, every Bajan should be interested in what I have to say here this morning. Why does every Bajan should be interested in what I have to say here this morning? It's because the Prime Minister of Barbados has been squandering the resources of Barbados. She has been negligent and careless with the health of Barbadians. Right? And she has been treating Barbadians like they were second-class citizens. Alan Palmer, what do you mean, you might say to yourself? This is what I mean. On the 6th of April, 2021, Ralph Shitston Gonsalves maliciously walked through a protest to prove a point. His maliciousness caused him to be injured by a protester in that protest. Bear in mind that Ralph Shitston Gonsalves had been Prime Minister of St. Vincent de Grenadines for almost 20 years. He has an obligation to his office as Prime Minister. He had an obligation to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to ensure that he provide the needed resources that St. Vincent and the Grenadines and their citizens need in event they get injured and have to go to the hospital or use those resources. Now, I'm getting to somewhere, Bajan. My Bajan people, I'm getting to somewhere. Ralph Shitston Gonsalves walked through a protest. And in walking through the protest, he got hit in his head with a missile. I don't know what that missile, whether it was a bottle or whether it was a stone. It was a simple laceration that every child gets when they are mischievous, right? Remember, I said that he had an obligation to provide the facilities in his country. This man, Ralph Shitston Gonsalves, called Mayor Mottley in the middle of a pandemic. He his security detail and his medical detail leave St. Vincent and the Grenadines, travel to Barbados without being quarantined. He had access to the airport facilities. He had access to the hospital facilities and all of their staff in a pandemic without being quarantined. He went to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. He accessed all of the staff, all of the facilities of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital without being quarantined, not for an emergency, but for a minor injury. When Mia Mottley did this, she recklessly put the life and the health of Barbadian at jeopardy. In jeopardy. When a Bajan return home from outside of Barbados, he have to go into quarantine. Did Mia Mottley ensure Ralph Gonsalve and his security detail go in quarantine? No. They have access to the entire Barbados population. Mia Mottley, in her action, compromised the health of Barbadian when she didn't allow Ralph Gonsalve, his security detail and his medical detail to be quarantined. It is not an emergency situation. It was a minor injury. And to make matters worse, it's not to say that the facilities is not in St. Vincent, where he could have gotten a CAT scan, where he could have gotten an ultrasound, where he could have been exposed to the treatment. They have it. Not only do we have the facilities, we have competent and trained people in the person of Dr. Rosalind Ambrose, who runs the medical art facility that offer CAT scans and all of these things to Vincentian who need it. But he didn't want to do that. He did not even want to use the facility where trained Vincentians were available to offer him the service. He run to Barbados because he feels he has more power. He's more important than the Bajan. So he can go into Barbados without being quarantined. He can go into Barbados with his security detail and with his medical detail without being quarantined. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? Now the Barbados is reviewing their protocols because there is an emergence of COVID-19 infection in Barbados. That is because Mia Mottley, in her ignorance, in her stupidity, compromised the health care of Barbadians in a pandemic to please Ralph Gonsalves, who has access to the same resources he came to Barbados to access in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He had the same access in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It was nothing special. Yes, Watson, the protocols are for only certain people, and it is a shame to see that a Vincentian can come to Barbados and be treated with more respect, with more dignity, and have all of the protocols lapse to accommodate him. What level of respect does Mia Mottley have for the Bajan people? What level of responsibility has she exercised in compromising the health care of the Barbadian people by allowing a man with a minor laceration to come into a country to access, with not just come into his country, but to walk with his security detail, to walk with his medical detail, and none of them was put into quarantine. Bajans, are you listening to how reckless your Prime Minister is? Are you listening to how reckless Mia Mottley is? That is why there is an upsurge in the Delta virus in Barbados, because Mia Mottley is reckless with the health care of Barbadian. Not only to talk about so many Barbadians who would have made appointment for the same thing and had to wait at least a month for their appointment to be satisfied. But when Shitsin Ralph Gonsalves flew into Barbados, he surpassed the appointment system and was treated like as he elected Mayor Mottley. He was treated like he was responsible for Mayor Mottley election. It is he who voted Mayor Mottley into office. So Pageant, you see how Mayor Mottley is treating y'all like second-class citizens in your own state, in your own country. You were the one who elected her. And it's not to say the facilities was not available in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If Ralph Gonsalves wanted a CAT scan, it could have been done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Rosalind Ambrose, Dr. Rosalind Ambrose has the facility where he could have gotten it done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But you know what? He is more important than Barbadians. And Maya Mottley have proven that he is more important than Barbadians when she opened her doors and allowed him to come in without being quarantined. Not even a test prior to him reaching Barbados was done. Every country in the world, if you go into a country, you have to ensure that you do a COVID-19 test before you go and walk with the results. Ralph Gonsalves did not do that. Not to say he didn't have the facility. He had the facility. He had the chief medical officer. He had the minister of health. He had the permanent secretary. He had scores of doctors at his disposal. He had medical technician who he could have called out to do a simple COVID-19 test before he traveled, but he didn't do that because he didn't care about the health of Barbadians. That is why Barbados is currently experiencing a new surge in COVID-19. That is why they are now readjusting and changing the protocols of life in Barbados. Why? Because Mayor Mottley have compromised the pageant health in her office of Prime Minister. She should have been more responsible. And the pageant know it. Mayor Mottley should have been more responsible in the way she dealt with things. You understand? And you know what is make it worse? Is that Ralph Gonsalves have not paid and is not going to be paying for the service he received at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Every pageant have to pay for their service when they go to that hospital. But Ralph Gonsalves ain't pay, and he's not going to be paying. And the thing is he has the access to the resources to pay for it. But guess what? He's not going to pay. So we see now, Mayor Mottley is not only giving preference to foreigners because of their office over the people who elected her. She is now exempting those who can afford to pay from paying for the service that they receive at their hospital, when the common, ordinary pageants have to pay. If they don't have any money, they're not getting service. People, what kind of Prime Minister did the pageant elected to take care of their resources, to manage their resources and to grow their resources, when they are being treated like second-class citizens? When a man who have been in office for 20 years, who have had every opportunity to ensure that the citizens of his country would have had public access to these cat stands and other things, forfeit the opportunity to do it. Yet, he is now freeloading. He is now freeloading on a country whose public officers has been responsible in managing their resources and in taking care of their business for their people. He's now freeloading on them. He's now compromising the health of those people. What kind of thing is happening here? People, somebody have to tell me. Somebody have to explain it to me. A Bajan have to explain this to me. How our Bajan brothers and sisters are going to sit back and let their Prime Minister do such a thing. How are they going to sit back and allow their Prime Minister to do such a thing? To treat them like second-class citizens when they're treating an irresponsible man like Ralph Gonsalves like a first-class citizen, Ricardo Watson. Because the protocol are for certain people. Secondly, he exposed the medical workers of Barbados to COVID-19. And Ricardo Watson, you are quite correct. He exposed the medical workers. He exposed the immigration workers. He exposed everybody he came in contact to with COVID-19. And you know what they're going to do? They are going to blame some other set of people for the new upsurge of COVID-19 in Barbados. While Mayor Mottley was reckless. While Mayor Mottley acted recklessly with the health care of the Barbadian community. You understand? She was reckless in the way she behaved. No quarantine. This is not an emergency situation. You can understand that if it is an emergency situation and you don't have the facility in your country, you don't have the expertise in your country, then you can understand they come into your country and you could ease a little thing to accommodate them. But no, it's not an emergency situation, and they had the facility in St. Vincent and Grenadines for him to be taken care of. But you know, I don't know what to say about Mayor Mottley. She has proven to be even more irresponsible than Ralph Gonsalves himself. She has proven to be even more irresponsible than Ralph Gonsalves himself. Because you would have thought that she, being a woman who is more educated than Ralph Gonsalves, who would have been more responsible, who are accountable to a society that holds their leaders responsible, you would have thought that Mayor Mottley would have been more responsible. But in fact, she has shown the world, she has shown Barbadian, she has shown the entire Caribbean nation that she is irresponsible. You understand? And I hope that the Barbadian people ensure that Ralph Gonsalves pay that bill, because he has a habit. He has a habit. He's a habitual creditor who don't pay. Listen to me. The Barbados government have lent St. Vincent and the Grenadines monies to pay their salaries of public and civil servants, and they have not paid it back. St. Lucia have done the same thing. They have not paid it back. Grenada have done the same thing. They have not paid it back. Trinidad and Tobago have done the same thing. They have not paid it back. Now he is now scrounging on little Barbados, who has a pandemic on their hands, and he is now making things worse for the healthcare system of Barbados. He's now making things worse for all Barbadian. Right, morning, Natasha. Let me see who's this here. You understand? And this is just the situation. This is just the situation. This is the reality of the situation. People, Watson. Yeah, okay. Right, I read that already. I think Watson says something behind there. I think he says something again. Anytime I go to Watson, the thing you want me to, they want me to read the Watson. I don't know what happened. Watson said he took the vaccine from Russia. And according to our newspaper, secondly, we are learning now that the vaccinated people are carrying a heavy viral load. So something, Watson, you don't want me to read it at all. Okay, Watson is saying that even though he is vaccinated, yes, and you're right, Watson, it is coming out that vaccinated people are contagious to other people. They are carrying around the virus and they are contagious to other people. And even vaccinated people can become sick with COVID-19. So even he might want to say he's fully vaccinated, which I doubt, because he will never take the risk. He was given a placebo. If Ralph Gonsalves, because let me tell you something, they will never take the risk of giving a head of state, head of government, or any famous person the vaccination, because if anything happened to those famous people, you know what's going to happen? It's going to cause ruckus all over the world. Prime ministers, heads of government, heads of states, and other famous people were given saline solution, a placebo. All they did was to show up and pretend they were taking the vaccination, because the powers that be could not take a risk of a famous person being vaccinated and becoming sick and die, right? It will throw the whole plan into the toilets. So those people then take the vaccine, those people take placebo. They took placebo. So Watson, you are quite right. And even though the new research is saying that vaccinated people are still becoming ill, vaccinated people are still getting people who they come into contact with ill. So therefore, and they're saying that vaccinated people must still wear masks. Vaccinated people have to still be quarantined. People, let me tell you something, man. Don't bother these people, eh? These people are a bunch of crazy people. And I am sorry to say that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has compromised the health care of Barbados through their leaders. Their leaders have been reckless. And I hope, pageant, all you make sure all you send that bill to Ralph Gonsalves, like pay for it, because I mean, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines cannot take up that bill. Why? Because the facility for him to be treated in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is available there. We are supposed to pay that money to the local businessmen and businesswomen in the form of Dr. Rosalind Ambrose. She should get the opportunity to make that money from the government. How can you take the business outside when you have the people who are there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who are offering the same service? So we see where shit's saying lie in supporting the local economy that he have wrecked. The man don't even want to support the local economy that he wrecked by providing opportunity to make some money to the local business. He prefer to fly out to Barbados and try to steal some service from the Barbadian people. What kind of thing is happening here? My God, people, I wanted to share this video. Share this video in the page, share it in a friend's page. Basically, share it with a Bajan. Because the Bajan are supposed to be outraged at this whole thing. If I was Barbadian, I would have been outraged. You understand, people? I have other things to do. So with the black stallion, we're gonna burn them. And I am leaving. I'm leaving. I am enjoying my life, people. Today, for me, it's another beach day. I'm going on the beach. I'm going to swim. Let the Caucasians bring out their sharks like they bring out the sharks last Thursday when I went to, Friday when I went to the beach. Another beach day for me. People, if you are living your life, live your life and have fun. You're only going to be young once, right? Have clean, good fun. You understand? And I'm telling the master, give me a walk with Peter. They just opened the rose garden. I did the video only because the rose garden was closed, so I did it outside. Who dancing with me? Who's dancing with me with the black stallion? Let me burn Ralph gun sabs. Oh Lord have mercy. I am having fun in my old age, my young age. Let us burn them. Pageant, I hope I burn my Mottley. Don't let she get away with it. Don't let me Mottley get away with this thing. You understand? And if you know any Barbadians, please share this video with those Barbadians. It is a shame. It is a disgrace. And Mia Mottley must pay with the office of Prime Minister. She must lose her seat and she must be kicked out of government. We can't allow the people who we elect to take care of us treat us like shit. People, I'll talk to you soon. Natasha, all who came back, nice to have you all. It's nice to have you all. People, I'll talk to you soon. I'm out. Share this video. Remember to share this video for me. Share it on your page, share it on a friend page. Tag a pageant in it. Tag a friend on it. And let us all bond them. Let us keep them honest. Let us keep them with integrity by keeping them on their toes.